Imagine this. What if your soul chose your family, not by accident, not in chaos, but with the intentionality of a divine artist? Before you ever took your first breath, your soul gazed into this life, saw the mountain of challenges that lay ahead, and whispered, "Yes, this is the path. This is where I will awaken. This is where I will evolve." And yet, here you are, wondering why you were placed in a family that feels more like a battlefield than a sanctuary. Why the very place meant to protect you felt like it was slowly breaking you instead. I've asked those same questions, and here's what I've come to understand. Being born into a toxic family is not a punishment. It's not karma chasing you down. It's a divine assignment. A soul-forging, paradigm-shifting, destiny-defining gift. Yes, a gift. One you might not see clearly yet, but one that holds the potential to transform everything. So let's walk into this mystery together, because hidden beneath the chaos of your childhood lies a sacred truth that's been waiting for you to remember it. Toxic families feel like fire. They burn, they scar, and they strip you raw. But like fire, they also forge. They mold your spirit into something unbreakable. They tear down illusions and demand you face life in its most unfiltered form. You see, chosen ones don't come here for comfort. They come here to break chains, to confront the generational pain others run from, to end what others keep repeating. So why this family? Why this pain? Because the toxicity you were born into isn't random. It's ancestral. It's the echo of unspoken truths, buried traumas, and patterns left unhealed. You were born in the heart of it, not to absorb it, but to end it. Let that truth settle into your bones. You were not sent here to conform. You were sent here to transform, to rise where others have fallen, to heal not just yourself, but your entire bloodline. But here's the paradox. To break the cycle, you must walk through it. To heal the wound, you must first feel it. So no, you weren't placed in the storm to drown. You were placed there to learn how to swim. You were not born into chaos to suffer. You were born into it so you could awaken. So ask yourself, what do you see when you look at your family? Anger, neglect, control, manipulation? And now ask, where do those same energies live in you? Because toxic families don't just wound us, they mirror us. They expose the very shadows we're too afraid to face within ourselves. And that's the hidden blessing. In the fire of your family's dysfunction, you are handed the sacred opportunity to see yourself, to heal yourself, to rebirth yourself. And in doing so, you change everything. But let's not sugarcoat this. Being born into a toxic family is one of the hardest soul contracts you can sign. It takes immense strength, relentless courage, and divine resilience. You'll face rejection, abandonment, betrayal. But every time you respond with love instead of hate, with grace instead of bitterness, with understanding instead of judgment, you're not just surviving, you're rewriting destiny. So what would happen if you stopped fighting your family and started learning from them? What if their toxicity wasn't a sign of your lack, but a mirror of their own pain? What if their inability to love you had nothing to do with your worth, and everything to do with the fact they never learned how to love themselves? This is the shift. This is the moment everything begins to change. Your family is not your curse. They are your classroom, not the ones meant to define you, but the ones meant to awaken you. Their pain is not yours to carry, but it is your invitation to heal, to remember who you are beyond their projections. to rise beyond their limitations, to reclaim your power. But here's the truth you must face. You cannot save your family. You can only save yourself. And in saving yourself, you light the way for others. I used to believe that if I just became good enough, I could fix everything. If I succeeded enough, maybe they'd change. If I loved enough, maybe they'd heal. But healing them was never my mission. Healing me was. And when I chose to focus on my own healing, something unexpected happened. The family dynamics began to shift. Not because I forced change, but because I became change. This is the power of the chosen ones. We don't fight the darkness. We shine through it. So let me ask you, what does it mean to love yourself when no one else has? What does it mean to choose peace in a world of chaos? What does it mean to walk away from generational pain and toward generational healing? These are the questions that will lead you home. Because once you stop seeing your family as your enemy, once you start seeing them as wounded souls doing the best they can, you unlock the gift hidden in your pain. Let's go deeper still. The wounds your family inflicted. They may have scarred you, but they also cracked you open, made space for light to enter. But here's the paradox. Before you can receive the gift, you must face the wound. You can't outrun pain born in the home. You must turn and face it. Maybe you were judged so often, you began to silence yourself. Maybe you were ignored so deeply, you began to believe your voice didn't matter. Maybe the love you received came with strings attached, conditional and performative. These wounds hurt, but they also reveal. Every scar carries a message. Every pain holds potential. Every ache is a doorway to awakening. So when you think about your pain, ask yourself, what is it teaching me about myself? Chosen ones don't just heal their family tree. They heal within, and in doing so, the whole lineage is transformed. Because here's what most never realize. The pain you carry was never yours to begin with. It was passed down, projected, inherited. But you have the power to stop it. Right here, right now. But how? It begins with awareness. Awareness that how they treated you does not define your worth. Awareness that their toxicity is not your destiny. Awareness that you were never born to repeat. You were born to restore. But awareness is only the beginning. The true transformation begins when you stop waiting for them to change, and you take back your power. Some apologies may never come. Some wounds may never be acknowledged. And that's okay, because your freedom isn't dependent on their healing. Your freedom is your birthright. Forgiveness isn't about forgetting. It's not saying what happened was okay. It's saying, I release myself from carrying what was never mine to hold. I will not let your wounds become my identity. I choose peace over pain, light over legacy, freedom over fear. And this is where the gift reveals itself. Because as you heal, you awaken. As you remember who you are, you shift the entire fabric of your lineage. As you rise, you show others they can rise too. No, this journey is not easy. There will be moments when you doubt your strength. Moments when the weight of it all feels unbearable. But remember, you were chosen for this. Not because you're meant to suffer, but because you're here to transmute suffering into power, to turn wounds into wisdom, to alchemize pain into purpose. Your scars, they are not your shame. They are your strength. This is the divine alchemy of the chosen ones. We were born into darkness, not to be consumed by it, but to be the light within it. We transform inherited pain into future liberation. We don't just survive. We ascend, and when we do, we open the door for every soul who comes after us. So let me ask you, one last time, if you knew that the very pain you carry was the key to your awakening, would you still see yourself as broken? Or would you rise, knowing you were born not to repeat, but to redeem?